Hello there. I saw a thread on Reddit yesterday, which was a request for some Ibuki tips or some help with the Ibuki ship. And since it's one of the ships I'm working on myself, as some of you know, I'm trying to get every single ship to tier 10. So this is one of the hurdles on the way. I decided I'd make a commentary of my own experiences with the ship. Now, the Ibuki, it feels very much like the Mayoko. It might feel even like a downgrade to several people who are. But basically, the Mogami is such a fantastic ship that it's ultimately going to feel very much like a downgrade. But it's not really a bad ship per se. It's actually a quite powerful ship. It just uh, it just doesn't excel at anything. Like the Mogami was a DPS beast. The Ibuki doesn't really have anything it excels at. I mean, it's a pretty good cruiser though. The accuracy is amazing. I'm using the gun accuracy mod to improve it. The anti-air on it is garbage, so I don't see any point in using the increase anti-air mod because there's no point besides increasing the panic range for defensive AA fire. There's no point in buffing a mediocre AA when instead you can buff a good accuracy and good DPM by using the accuracy mod. You can see I landed 8 shots out of 10. So you can see just how much damage I'm constantly pumping on this Amagi. And well, he's pretty much dead now. There's nothing he can do. Of course, consumable wise, I obviously use the premium repair that costs 22k. And I'm using the superintendent perk. So I have one more heal. I find that quite important. I use that on every single ship you can get the second or the heal on battleships and the high tier cruisers. So I highly recommend the superintendent perk. Now, the basic cruiser gameplay still applies. Your armor is a bit thicker than it was earlier, like thicker than the Mogami had for sure, because Mogami is quite paper. But you still need to keep the basic cruiser gameplay in mind, which is constantly angling your armors and constantly making sure that, well, that was actually a good example. He armor penetrated me quite easily, even though I was pointed straight towards him. But you can actually bounce a fair amount of AP if you just keep your armor angled. Here you can see a turret is about to pop up, so I'm gonna duck into cover here behind this rock. He had to shoot. He couldn't wait for the perfect broadside, because if he did, I would have been in cover, so he shot away now. And this gives me a good opportunity to use my torpedoes, which is actually a significant strength of the Ibuki. The torpedoes on this ship are amazing. They are very very fast, 67 knots, and they do a lot of damage, and you can shoot a huge volley of them. So basically whenever you see the chance of using them, I highly recommend doing it. They have given me a lot of extra damage, and basically they're always worth using. Of course, you always have to keep in mind that when you turn to fire the torpedoes, you expose your broadside, which risks being citadeled. So it's always a risk-reward sort of thing. But you can see how incredibly fast they are. They already are there, and they're already hitting him now for a nice amount of damage. Basically, I have single-handedly completely wrecked these turrets with the help of the constant damage and the heavy-hitting torpedoes. Now, I'm keeping my armor angled, of course, as usual, to try to bounce as many of his shots as possible, and in general make myself hard to hit. Upgrade wise, I'm actually not using the upgrade that reduces fire and flooding by 15%, the duration of them that is. I'm instead using the perk, or not the perk but the upgrade module, that increases rudder shift time. So, because I find myself on this ship, it's more important to avoid damage in the first place than attempt to tank it. You can see the accuracy, by the way. The HE actually does quite a lot of damage. I find myself using HE a lot on the ship, because the constant heavy hitting DPM, especially with the upgrade, means that you can really just pump out constant long range heavy damage. But yes, what I was talking about, the upgrade that reduces rudder shift. The rudder shift on the ship is already good, but with the upgrade it becomes really really exceptional for a cruiser. And one of the major problems with the Ibuki is because its turrets are spread out so wide on the ship, like 2 in the back and 3 in the front. It means that if you want to bring you basically have to give your broadside if you want to shoot at things, because otherwise you lose out on so much of your damage. But the problem is with the way the turrets are angled is that you have to expose a lot of broadside every time you want to bring your full broadside to bear. I've basically found that the upgrade helps counter this, because if you sail like in a snake-like manner, basically you turn, you shoot, and then you turn away again. You keep doing like this snake-like sailing. In that way you can bring your full damage to bear and still be a very hard target to hit. And I've found that to be quite a successful way of playing the ship. Once again, you notice that I shot the torpedoes, because, well, why not? It was a good opportunity, and people should use them a lot. Obviously you should never charge in with the sole purpose of using the torpedoes. That's the kind of stuff that Taga players do in the start. Basically charge in, try to use their torpedoes, and then they just die and get nothing done. But they're a very potent tool. As you saw, once again I did some damage on this Izumo. This is the second battleship I'm basically wrecking very much by myself. Now, also one thing worth noticing on the ship is that, or worth noting, is that the concealment on it is very, very good. You should use the upgrade that increases your concealment, so you can get it well below 12 kilometers, which is quite nice. It allows you to ambush people constantly. Oh shit, you can see his guns are turned towards me, so I'm instantly turning away. That's something you need to keep in mind as a cruiser. With any cruiser really. Battleship points your guns at you, instantly turn away. In this case, I dodged every shot except one, and that wasn't the Citadel, that was just normal penetration. And here you can see the upgrade I was talking about in action. Basically, I weave back and forth. You can see the way I'm working my rudder. I'm presenting the smallest possible target as I'm reloading. As soon as my guns are reloaded, I turn, I shoot my full volley, and then I turn away straight away again, to once again minimize the target I present and make myself hard to hit. In this way, in general, I haven't really taken much damage yet. There's only 8 minutes left of this game, and I've done a significant amount of damage, but I haven't really taken much at all, simply because I'm constantly weaving in and out, weaving back and forth. I weave in to shoot, and then I weave out again to avoid the damage. In this case, that was my second fire on this guy. He's very much dead now, there's nothing he can do anymore. So this is another battleship kill for me. At this point I'm making sure I only show my stern to the ship to reduce the risk of being citadeled, and basically letting him burn to death. This game is starting to look quite good from a winning perspective. That's another kill, and that's our lead. Now, that's Mr. New Orleans. Now, there are many, usually against cruisers on this ship you want to use AP, even though, but there are some exceptions, especially the American cruisers. The New Orleans is a huge exception in that, basically, I don't know if you're aware, but the New Orleans armor is amazing in the bow. It just bounces. If you try to use AP on it, it will bounce your shells like mad. It's like a mini Yamato at its tier. Like, I have the New Orleans myself and I love it. It's an amazing ship. You have 2 of your turrets in the front, the majority of your cannons in the front, so you can just go full on charge in, tank all the damage, unless the guy uses HE, and then just wreck them at close range. Like, I have little doubt that you can see by the way he's doing the weaving thing I was talking about earlier. That's how you know he's a good cruiser player. He's weaving in and out, doing the same snake-like movement I did and avoiding the majority of my damage. Here I went for the torpedoes and he instantly punished me for it. AP shot to the Citadel, broke my engine. And that's what I mean, he can easily penetrate my armor from that range. And I'm gonna switch to AP now, and this is actually more of demonstrative purposes than anything. You can see just how insanely good at deflecting AP the New Orleans is, because I'm literally, I'm 6.3. It's actually using, okay, I'm 6 kilometers away from him, and I'm fully loaded with AP shells, 203mm, and I'm gonna shoot at this New Orleans. one penetration, every single other shell bounced. That's how insane that armor is. Second volley, 3.2 kilometers, and he's still bouncing AP. At this point I'm switching back to HE because it looks like he might even try to ram me. So I'm just gonna make sure I can get the kill in, and there's no point using AP against the New Orleans. I think that ship is amazing. And you see how much damage I did with the HE shells. That's a quick kill for me. But anyways, there are ships, I mean, against other Japanese cruisers, AP is obviously amazing. And in general, if they shoot broadside, AP is always amazing. But there are exceptions. And don't be afraid to, like, basically HE spam, which is usually something you do with 155mm guns. But it's quite potent on the Ibuki, especially because you have a very high chance of setting other ships on fire. In fact, your chance of setting them on fire is 17%. Now obviously that varies based on the enemy ship tier and what perks they have, but still 17% is a very, very nice chance. Now here you can see bombers are coming from me, so I instantly turned my ship sideways, basically comparative to where they're coming from. When the way bombers work is that the captain basically orders them to drop the bombs lengthwise from your bow to your stern. So if you turn your ship sideways as they try to drop them, instead of going across your ship, they basically crisscross across it. Basically, the majority of the bombs end up falling in the ocean on both sides of your ship. And it's a good way to avoid the majority of the damage of bombers. And people shouldn't underestimate the damage of US bombers. Like, I have an Essex myself, and I've been doing 10 to 12k damage in single drops because people haven't been avoiding them properly. That was another Atlanta kill, and it looks like this game is about to be over. Overall, quite a good game. Got to display some of the basics of the ship, how very much how I play it. And oh, I managed to out-XP the Taya. It's always nice when you out-XP a carrier. And the damage is very much spread out as expected, and the damage is about 145,000. The money is quite good because I didn't really take too much damage. At this tier, the more damage you take, the more drastic or the worse your gains are. Anyways, that was the Ibuki. And that's me out.